So we are live, Danny. Welcome everyone to a
Nice.
new to a new Team Copilot episodes with this time with Danny Brandsma. She's a colleague of me working at Wortel, and today we're going to talk about adoption and like gamifying your adoption from Microsoft 365, right? So really excited. Thank you so much, Danny, for doing this and sharing your knowledge with the community. You're doing that a lot, so thank you for that. And the floor is yours.
Nice. Thank you. Then I will start sharing my screen so we can all look at the same thing.
Great.
Yes, you should all be seeing it right now. Yes, perfectly. All right. Well, today I want to talk to you about something that is both very fun and also, I think, a little bit practical, because today we're going to talk about how you can actually gamify your Microsoft 365 Copilot adoption and how you can make your Copilot adoption actually stick. So it's fun stories, but it's not just that. All of these stories and these games we're going to talk about, they're actually designed to address some real world adoption challenges that organizations face whenever they're introducing Copilot or any new tool in general. So by the end of the session, you'll know how gamification works, what the benefits are, how it also connects to change management, and I hope you can leave with some new ideas on how to start using gamification in your own adoption from tomorrow onwards. So let's hope that we can actually make that goal. So let's first have a look at our schedule for today. First, I'll introduce myself a little bit so you know who I am, who is actually talking to you. And then I'll do a short introduction on the topic of today. We'll dive a bit into Copilot adoption. And then, well, gamification is the important part because that's what I think you all got excited about. So that's the main topic. We'll talk about how gamification can actually be put into action. And we'll close it off with a little short summary and a recap. But first, some of you might not know me, so let's start with a quick introduction who I am and why I'm also quite passionate about this topic. So, my name is Danny, and like Femke already said, I'm a colleague of hers. I work for Wortel, and I work there as an adoption consultant. Which means that together with the adoption and change team, I actually design strategies on how companies can utilize M365 application to the maximum capacity. Could be any M365 tool or change management part, but lately I've been focusing most of the time on Copilot, which is quite a cool topic, I think. And I don't really have a background in IT. I studied hospitality management, so very different. But I do think that that service-oriented mindset can definitely help me within this adoption role at Wortel, because it helps me see and understand the tool in a way that an end user would use it. And I think that my passion really is to help people from what is this tool? How can I actually use it? To, well, I cannot stop thinking or working without it. And I think that's also exactly what we want going to talk about today, how that we can just spark some curiosity and turn it actually into confident usage. And the topic there today is, of course, when it comes to Copilot. So let's talk about that a little bit more. So imagine you're an organization, you have Copilot switched on, your licenses are distributed, your launch email has been sent, and you kind of wait and you hope to see the results of Copilot because you really believe in the promise that Copilot gives you. Copilot, of course, I think we've all know what Copilot is, but Copilot, of course, promises to definitely boost productivity, enhance your creativity, support the decision-making processes, and it works across all of the M365 applications. Now, Microsoft is, of course, very good at marketing and making those videos. So whenever we see that, I think we all can definitely believe, okay, this can definitely work for us. But weeks later, only a few of your employees have tried it. Most haven't even touched it. They didn't have time, or they didn't really know where to start, or they just generally didn't care. And this is what we call the adoption challenge. Most people don't really know where to start because, well, like I said, also with the promise of Copilot, Copilot works across all of the M365 applications that we've already been using for quite some time before the launch of Copilot. So whenever we use Copilot, we have to think about how can we actually integrate this AI tool into a process that I've done like this for a very long time already. So this could either be due to lack of time, people not really knowing, or they're maybe a bit uncertain on how to actually use it. Might be some training fatigue. And I think that is where the opportunity lies. The opportunity here is to focus on peer-to-peer learning, because that really accelerates the adoption, learning from each other, growing a community. I think that is the nice part here, where we can actually grow from curious users to confident users. And that is also where gamification comes into play, I would say. Now, to explain how to get to those confident users, I would like to introduce to you a model that some of you might already know. It's a change management model by Jeff Hyatt, and it's called the ADKAR model. Now, for some of you who do not know this, ADKAR stands for Awareness, Desire, Knowledge, Ability, and Reinforcement. And it's all about explaining how adoption actually works. Because a lot of IT managers or some legacy mindset people think, okay, whenever we introduce a new tool, we can just enable the feature and then people will start using it. But like the example that I shared with you on the last slide, just turning something on doesn't mean that people will actually start using it. So adoption is all about guiding people through that journey. And well, Jeff Hyatt explained this very well, I think, in his model, in the ADKAR model over here. Now, whenever we relate this ADKAR model to the Copilot adoption, I would say that we can kind of group them into 3 different phases. The first phase would be the awareness and the desire, where the communication and inspiration really comes into play, because this is the start where we want to get people excited and make people understand why they can actually use the tool and what is the benefit for them. So we want people to understand, hey, this tool, this Copilot tool, I can use it for this and this, get inspired, I want to use it, because that is also very important. And we often do that through communications, leadership endorsements, inspiration sessions, getting success stories, well, all those parts, just making people aware of what Copilot is, what you can do with it, and how it can be beneficial for certain employees. The next part, once we get people inspired and excited about it, is of course training. We need people to have the skills and the knowledge to use Copilot, because otherwise, well, if they don't know where the button is, then they can never use it, of course. So for the knowledge phase over here, I would say this is the phase where we give people the skills to use Copilot efficiently, and that could either be through prompting training or role-based training, hands-on practice. Well, really this safe environment where we can learn things and where we, well, gain skills and get an understanding of how to utilize it. Now, those 2 phases, so the awareness, desire, and the knowledge, I think that is where most organizations do quite well. People know how to get people excited about Copilot. I think the tool also kind of does it by itself, because, I mean, the promise is quite good, of course. And the knowledge part is, well, very basic regarding to Copilot, because, well, if we know where the buttons are, we can definitely already start using it. I believe where the issue or where the challenge really lies is the ability and reinforcement phase, because this is the phase where we actually embed the tool into our current ways of working, and where we also sustain the change. So it is it's becoming a habit of using it, and we integrate it into our daily workflows. Now, to do this, we could either support confident and consistent usage. We could celebrate successes or quick wins, I would say. And community is something that's quite important over here. But like I said, this is sometimes or quite often where we have the most challenges. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Because, well, the ability and reinforcement, I sometimes say this is really going the last mile, because with the awareness, the desire, the knowledge, that is where we train people, where they know how Copilot works, where they understand it. But to truly adopt it, that is where we need users to be able to apply it in their daily work. So they need to use it, they need to see the benefit until it becomes a habit, and they use it on a daily basis or on a weekly basis in processes that they find it useful in. So if we look at ability, the gap that we often see over there is that people do understand what Copilot can do, but they still struggle somehow to find relevant use cases for their own roles. So even though you've had the training and you've had the awareness and you know the desire, you know what you want to use it for, you're still struggling to kind of put it into practice. So Copilot in that sense stays theoretical, but you're still struggling to put it into the practical part, I would say. The reinforcement gap, on the other hand, is where people use Copilot, and in the beginning they get super excited, but then over time they stop using it or they use it less and less because there might be no feedback loop or there's no visible impact. People might not have enough time. They get caught up with their day-to-day work. And this is the start where, or this is the point where this early momentum that we've had in the beginning starts to fade and adoption also drops. I think this also comes quite into place with the Gartner hype cycle. I don't know if you're aware of what that actually is. If you're into change management a little bit, then this will be familiar. But this is where in the beginning, we all get really excited about a new tool. And then once we start using it more, we kind of drop in our excitement and we see, we don't really see how we can use it. And that is where we have to keep using it and we have to get people excited to reinforce the change and make them use it more so you can be more productive. So how do we actually keep people engaged and how do we develop this ability and how do we keep forming lasting habits? Now, this is where research actually points to gamification as quite a powerful tool. So multiple studies actually show that gamification is one of the most effective ways to keep people practicing and improving their skills over time. So what I would like to do is I would like to share with you some insights of research studies that actually support this. One of the studies actually states that gamification builds habit and sustained engagement because if you do certain activities, if you perform some challenges and you start using it more and more, maybe first bi-weekly, then weekly, then more and more, then this repeat usage will definitely help to integrate Copilot into your daily work. So even if it's just little step-by-step baby steps, maybe to call it that, if you keep using it that way, then you're starting to build a habit and it will integrate more into your daily process of or daily flow of work. Even though this assignment might not be 100% related to your way of working, I can guarantee that there are always some hooks or some parts that kind of integrate with how you use Copilot on a daily basis in your work. And that way, it definitely, encourages to build this habit as well. Now, another study actually states that gamification encourages peer learning and collaboration. If you do these assignments and these challenges with your team or with other peers, and you kind of do it together, it improves your collaboration, but also your creativity. Because I think we all remember from our studies when we've done team assignments, whenever you have multiple people in the room together, you start thinking creatively, thinking outside of the box. And I think that can definitely help also here with the peer learning and working together, to call it that. Finally, research also states that gamification reduces the resistance to change. I think we can all imagine if we kind of have a game-like approach to a specific process or specific way of working, it can be less intimidating than if you have to do it for something very important for your work. So maybe to explain it a little bit, Imagine you've never used Copilot before, and you want to learn how to turn on Copilot during a Teams meeting and summarize a meeting afterwards, make the meeting notes and the action items. Well, if you for the first time have to do that within an assignment with your peers and where you can collaborate and make mistakes, I think that would be way more preferable than if you have to do it for the first time whenever you're talking to a very important client and where there is a lot of pressure. So in that way, if you can apply this gamification as well, it can make people less resistant and make them maybe more excited and more eager to try things out, rather than if it's always really focused on work environments. But of course, yeah, research is only one thing. How do we now connect these benefits to real-world challenges that we've seen in the world of adoption? Now, for that, I've outlined how some specific real-world adoption challenges that we've actually seen in the market relate to gamification tactics. So a challenge could, for example, be that users are unsure how to use Copilot in their daily work. Now, if we use story-based challenges and provide insightful or useful use cases, same as how I said before, that even though this challenge is not 100% related to somebody's way of working, it can still give people some inspiration or a little hook here and there, and give them some ideas on how they can use it for their own daily work. So that way you can kind of overcome this challenge and give people inspiration on how to utilize it like that. Another challenge could be that users are unfamiliar with the possibilities of the tool. Like I also said in the beginning, Copilot is integrated in all our M365 applications, and there are, I think, a million ways on how you can utilize Copilot. And if you have these challenges and missions that you have to do in a fun and exciting way, it can definitely show you the potential of ways that you can use it for other things as well. So also another challenge that you can solve with this. Low peer-to-peer knowledge sharing is something that we do see also with quite a lot of our clients in the market as well, because, well, generally people are just a little bit more hesitant to share, okay, I've used Copilot for this, or I've been struggling with this and this. So if you then can kind of recalibrate this to missions and exercises, then people do get excited about achievements that they have or results that they received from Copilot. So I think that's also a very good example of how this gamification can overcome the challenge. Now, finally, if users have no clear sense of improvement on how they have been using Copilot for so far, then with these games and these missions exercises where they're finally achieving an outcome or a result, then these results can definitely make the growth of how they've been using Copilot way more tangible, because then they're able to see, okay, well, in the beginning, I was still struggling with this, but now I can already do this, and kind of makes it more tangible and more practical as well. So these gamification tactics that you see here on the right, they're not just games. If we actually relate them to the challenges that we see on the left side, they're actually targeted interventions that we can use to overcome or get past those hurdles, and where we can actually make the ability and the reinforcement that we talked about before stick in a correct and right way. Now, let me show you actually some examples of how we've put these gamification ideas into practice and actually put it into action. So the examples I want to share with you today is the superhero assignment and the detective assignment. Now, the superhero assignment, the first one, is all about creating a personal identity and using Copilot in a way where you can discover your own strengths and see where your actual strengths and weaknesses lie and how you can form your personal brand. The second one, the detective assignment, is all about problem solving and using Copilot to solve a fictional mystery case and, well, really discovering the different possibilities of Copilot. Now, both of these assignments, they create a safe and engaging space to work and experiment with Copilot. And they also connect to some of the adoption goals, which we're going to talk about in a second. So let's start with the superhero assignment. Now, the superhero assignment is an assignment where participants ask Copilot to actually create a superhero alter ego of themselves based on their own strengths, their work style, the impact that they're making. And the nice part here is that, of course, Copilot can leverage your work environment. So it can read your communications, your emails, your files, et cetera, to really gain an understanding of you as a person and to then create this superhero alter ego. So it's kind of like a playful way that can also still build your prompting skills and where users can get some hands-on experience and see how much Copilot actually knows or relates to your personal identity, how it can create that for you. Now, the outcome of the superhero assignment is a superhero name with a nice description, superpowers that you possess, an elevator pitch for your personal brand, a superhero visual, what you actually look like, and also a nice superhero story about your first Copilot experiences. Now, the nice part here, if we look at, for example, the elevator pitch, I have a nice example here to share with you. So we asked Copilot, I'll share the prompt with you as well in a second, but we asked Copilot based on the superhero and the traits that we have to create an elevator pitch on your personal brand. Now, one of my clients tried this and one of the employees created this as well. And at one point, this person was telling me, wow, this elevator pitch is so good that I get so excited and that I think I'm going to use it from now on when I'm introduced to a new client or when I'm doing a presentation, because it's so spot on and it really, well, with some rework, of course, but it really helped her form her personal brand. And I think that's a really nice way of showing you how this assignment, even though it's a gamification superhero assignment, so not related to your work 100%, can still create a benefit that you can use in a lasting and a nice way. Now, it relates this assignment also to the Adker model that we see on the top right-hand side. I definitely believe that this assignment focuses on the desire part, the ability part, and the reinforcement part. Because, the assignment definitely builds desire because people get excited, they're going to create superheroes. It's kind of like some sort of emotional connection and personal relevance. People want to see, hey, what's Copilot going to create for me? So that's always very fun. But it also boosts the ability because people can actually get some hands-on experience on how to prompt in the nice and correct way. So it's very safe, it's fun, people can make mistakes, but still, they can practice and they can start using it more and more. And finally, the reinforcement is also strengthened through, of course, because we're working on identity building, like with the example I also said with the elevator pitch. And it's also something that users can keep doing over time. So you can create your superhero alter ego now, but maybe over time, in 6 months, you can create it again, see if there are any differences, if you've changed something. And that way you can reinforce Copilot over time as well. So to give you some insights on what this would actually look like, I'm going to share with you the visual of myself as a superhero. And this is me. I'll let you be the judge whether it's accurate or not, but my superhero name is actually called the Efficient Innovator. I have some adoption-related superpowers, but the nice part is, of course, at one point, creating the image and seeing what you actually look like at that point. So if you want to give it a try as well, I'll pull up the prompt here now on the screen that you can use. Because the prompt over here is, ask Copilot chat based on your work, communication style, contributions, create a superhero persona with my key superpowers, include a name, short description, and elevator pitch that reflects my personal brand. Now, that's going to give you some really nice, hopefully some really nice superhero that's also relevant to your way of working that you're doing. For this, maybe a little tip, you would have to go to Copilot Chat to the work toggle, because then it can, of course, reference your work environment. And with this description, what you can do, you can go to the create function in Copilot Chat, and there describe yourself, what you look like, your hair color, the color of your eyes, the color of your superhero suit. Add your superhero description, and you should get a really nice superhero visual that you can also share with your colleagues or share with LinkedIn. Share it with me. I'm very excited to see all of your superheroes as well. So definitely give it a try and see what comes out for you. Now let's go from superhero mode to detective mode, because that was the second assignment that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Because this assignment is where participants have to solve a fictional murder, fictional of course, at Contoso headquarters using Copilot throughout the different M365 applications. So with the use of Copilot, they will search some fictional personal files, security logs, financial statements, etc., to look for motives and patterns and see who actually is the perpetrator over here. And this assignment really pushes them to use Copilot in a realistic multi-step workflow. So first, use the Copilot in Excel, then we use the Copilot in Word, we bring that together. And well, that kind of practice really builds the ability on how you can use the Copilot in the different apps. Now, the outcome over here, as a result, participants discovered features that they never used or tried before. Many organizations or users, end users in organizations, use Copilot Chat for the most part, but are still hesitant or have never really tried the Copilot in the applications. So this assignment definitely helped them utilize those features as well. And some also said that it was the first time that they really understood how the Copilots work in the different applications, or what the differences actually are. So I think that's a very good result from this assignment, and of course a fun way to get practice in like that. And if you relate that also to the Edgar model at the top right of the screen, this assignment actually boosts the knowledge of users, because, well, like I said as well, people discovered features that they've never seen or used before. So the knowledge, the skills is going up, and the ability is also being built here, because they're using these prompting skills within multi apps throughout the different apps. And it's definitely requiring them to think outside of the box and to be practical, and to boost the ability, to call it like that. But now you might be thinking, okay, Dani, these are some good examples, but how do I come up with something like this for my own organization or for my own clients? Well, for that, I have brought along some tips and tricks to get you started and to get you going. So my first tip here would be is to start with the adoption goal in mind. So is your goal, for example, to spark curiosity and to boost the awareness and desire? Well, maybe then you really want to focus on the inspiration and the basics. So you could, for example, run a quick Copilot bingo where people have to cross off some very easy prompts just to get them familiar with the different applications. But if your goal is to really get people practicing with real work tasks and to really boost the ability, then perhaps it would be better to set a weekly Copilot mission or a task, and that way people can start using it within their own ways of working more. Now, my second tip would be to keep the rules simple. Participants should really understand how to do the assignment within like a few minutes. If you're talking for 10 minutes and explaining it, it's becoming very complicated. So try to avoid that. Keep it simple, keep it short, and people will get going because they get excited in the beginning. That's something I've definitely learned from my project so far. Now, my next tip would be is to add a story or a theme. So if you're doing something like narrative building or role playing, storytelling, I think is very important. Like we've seen before with the superhero assignment, the detective assignment, it's definitely a story that gets people excited and that gets them hooked, and they really want to start doing it before. Well, they can even start doing it in the tool itself because they're still explaining. So adding that kind of builds this whole environment around it where people want to get started. So definitely a good tip to do that as well. Next up, build in sharing and recognition. Let people share their results. And like we've also said before, peer-to-peer learning, making a community. I think this is where gamification can definitely get into play. So letting people share their results and recognize this creativity and the progress that they're making is definitely something to keep in mind. Maybe one good example I can give you here is that for the superhero assignment, what I always do is I let the participants, when they've created the visual and their superhero, that they insert their results into a PowerPoint where everybody can access, and then we discuss it afterwards. So that is already very nice. It's like a nice part of the session where we discuss and see everybody's images. But also, I once had a client where I had a superhero assignment in the morning and then one in the afternoon. And then the people from the morning, they got so excited and they started sharing their superheroes with everybody. And then when I came into the session for the afternoon, the participants were already saying, "Oh, I'm so excited because I've heard we're going to do a superhero. I'm very excited to see what my superhero is going to be like." So kind of adds on to your whole Copilot adoption because people really want to try it out and they want to see it and they want to get inspired. So build into a community where you can do that, because that's definitely something you can grow on. Now, a bonus tip would be to, if you can, if possible, try to make the assignment or the challenge or whatever you're doing relevant to your audience. So if you have examples or scenarios, use cases that fit the audience, definitely try to integrate it. So, for example, my detective assignment, if I would do it for a finance team, maybe I would integrate some financial transactions that they would have to uncover and see which one is fraudulent. And then if I would do it for an HR department, maybe I could think of a way where we don't find a perpetrator, but we try to find a candidate for a specific role. Because that way you do get these little hooks that we've also discussed during today, and get people to see how they can also utilize it for their own daily work. Now, maybe a bonus tip over here is that you can also, of course, use Copilot for this. So don't think that you have to do everything yourself. Use Copilot as a brainstorming partner. Think of things, think outside of the box. For the detective assignment, for example, I used Copilot to create my security logs and my transactions and my personal files. And that way you can kind of work together and create a really nice assignment over here. Now let's bring this all together. So we've talked about how adoption is not just about turning on Copilot, and it's actually about way more than that. There are really true adoption efforts where we have to go through all of the ADKAR phases. So the awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. And when we look at the adoption efforts, well, most of these efforts stall at the ability and reinforcement stages because those are the toughest stages. Reinforcing it is really about making people use it and showing them the potential over and over again. So we've seen also how research supports that gamification can help build these habits and how it can sustain engagement, and how it actually relates to some of the adoption challenges that we've discussed. Finally, we've also talked about some tips and tricks on how you can actually create your own gamification efforts. So I would say, well, what is your next move? Maybe some final tips. Choose a story, a challenge, a team activity, an assignment, and just start doing it. Start small, try it with your team, and share the results, because those results I think are the best outcome, because they definitely spark the curiosity. And once that curiosity is sparked, we can definitely watch how it grows and how it turns into confident usage that we see on a daily basis. And that way, we can definitely utilize gamification to grow our overall adoption journey. Now, with that, I would like to thank you very much for joining me today. I hope to have given you some insights and inspiration on how you can actually use gamification within your own adoption efforts. And if you want to connect, or if you have any questions, on this slide on the right side, you see my LinkedIn profile, my email, and also my blog website. Let's connect, let's talk it out, and yeah, excited to see how you're all going to use it in your own program.
Great, Dani. Thank you so much. We have one question that I really want to ask you. Do you know something? I saw a lot of questions, but a lot of them you already discussed or already had. But there was one question not, and that was if you know something for like not the work environments, but for the web environment where people also can do something like gamification. Is there something that you know that you can think about? This is also something like a practical thing that they can do when they don't have a licensing on Copilot yet. You have a tip?
So I think, I think, of course, the examples I showed you today was all about the Microsoft 365 Copilot. Maybe a tip there would be, the Copilot that the free Copilot chat. You can, of course, still upload documents, ask for summaries. It's becoming now way more integrated also into our Office applications that we're using. I think in Outlook, you can already access the free Copilot chat if you're on the new or the web version of Outlook. So try to think of ways where, you can maybe set some assignments on how people can use the Copilot in Outlook to summarize emails or to create a new email from an email that they're seeing. And that way, kind of get people familiar with all those possibilities as well.
Yeah, good one. I see a lot of superheroes in the comments on LinkedIn. So just want to say, check it out. I think it's nice to read and to see. Thank you for your session. Really creative, and I really liked it. I think a lot of people enjoyed this because it's so creative, and I think a really nice way to learn how to use Copilot and what you can do with it on a funny way as well. So it sticks in your mind and people understand like the things that you can do, not only what's possible in your documents, but as well thinking a way farther than that. So thank you so much for your time, and see you soon. I would say.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.